Harry Potter and the AI Adventure, Chapter 4. Meanwhile, the other three were enjoying their morning break. "Hey, Ginny, where'd your brother go?" Harry asked. "He got up late last night, and he hasn't seen Hermione. He's probably worried or in the toilet," replied Ginny, rubbing her pregnant belly. Just then Lupin arrived. He was also with Harry and Ginny. He had been visiting Sirius a bit frequently these days, and, in addition to teaching defense against the dark arts, he was working on his newts. "Are you all right, love?" Sirius whispered to Ginny and kissed her softly. "I'm fine. So you brought Sirius with you?" Harry asked Lupin. "I haven't seen him since July. How has your summer been?" "It's been pretty nice. We had a couple of meetings in Australia. Australia. Remus and I decided that maybe we should take a trip to England sometime. It'll be fun." "That sounds awesome. What did you meet with?" Harry questioned. Sirius hesitated for a minute before speaking again. His relationship with Harry and his wife was complicated. They'd had a lot of arguments while they lived in Grimmauld Place, and although Sirius and Remus loved each other and cared deeply for each other, they were the best of friends, and Sirius got on with Remus's wife Tonks, so they weren't able to spend much time together when he was living at Hogwarts. He had met Tonks on a previous trip to Japan, where they'd spent the winter holidays during the summers, and they'd developed an extremely deep bond through their shared experiences. He was quite protective of Tonks, making sure she kept warm at all times. He knew that she hated to show emotion, and it scared him when she cried because he always felt like if he didn't keep her safe, it was his fault she was hurt. That didn't mean that Remus didn't worry. After all, he was a werewolf, and though their son Teddy was normal, Remus worried about Tonks and Teddy constantly. They didn't know how many werewolves in London alone were dangerous. So Remus made sure that he accompanied her everywhere. He had made it a rule that she was always accompanied by either himself or a teacher or someone in the Order of Merlin First Class, the Order of the Phoenix, who was her bodyguard. "So—" Ron started awkwardly coming from the bathroom. He looked rather rumpled. "You ready, mate?" Ron asked, turning his head towards Harry and grinning. "We're going to need to fly fast if we want to win this Quidditch match." Harry nodded, feeling suddenly nervous. It had been nearly a month since the Gryffindor-Slytherin rematch, and neither team had won yet. The Slytherins were very well known to score a perfect goal every game, no matter what position you played in. The Gryffindors, however, were not known for being the most competitive players, especially after Fred Weasley died. Harry had learned quickly that when he lost to the other team, it was almost impossible to pick themselves back up and keep going. They usually just lost more points than they won. And losing points really wasn't that easy anymore. The teams were playing at a Quidditch pitch, on the pitch itself, where no student would ever think about setting foot unless necessary. It was currently December 31st, and there were already rumours spread around the school that Snape was planning on changing the weather so the field would be flooded by cold sleet tomorrow. Everyone gathered on the field and prepared themselves. Harry, Ron, Draco and Voldemort got ready for the game. Hermione sat on the grass, observing the other teams, which consisted of Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, as well as Slytherin. It was obvious that the Ravenclaws had some sort of grudge against Gryffindor and were probably plotting something, but Hermione was confident that Harry could handle any threats against him. She was still stuck in the ground, but no one cared. They wanted to play the game. Everyone was excited for the game, even Malfoy and Crabbe. They seemed rather happy. Hermione watched as Luna Lovegood walked up and down the sidelines, her hair tied neatly in a long ponytail and glasses covering her eyes. She spotted Luna sitting down next to Pansy Parkinson and waved cheerily at her friend. They couldn't see her on the ground. Her clothes had become damp from the snow, and she wished desperately that someone had found her, otherwise she might just freeze to death here on the ground. "You okay, Granger?" said Draco. "Yes, why don't we get ready now? You have to be on that field in 10 minutes, so start warming up the ground with your charms or something." The others agreed and set themselves into position on the field. Everyone except Luna, Draco and Hermione began casting various spells as the countdown began. 5, 4, 3. As soon as the word "start" was heard, Hermione began levitating her books, parchment, ink, quill, and everything she would need into the air. As soon as everything was airborne, she sent it soaring toward the opposing team. She followed closely behind and cast her spells faster than anyone else in sight, hitting several of the Slytherins, including Blaise Zabini and Daphne Greengrass twice, causing them both to scream in pain. Hermione was determined that today she wasn't going to lose. This time, Ron stood next to Neville, Ginny and Luna, cheering on his girlfriend in silence. trying not to attract too much attention to themselves. Harry flew around trying to find the snitch, as things flew past and battered more of the Slytherin opponents, while Draco stayed close to the ground, casting defensive spells as fast as he could. Soon enough, the game was over and Gryffindor won by a narrow margin. The other players ran over to congratulate Hermione, while Harry approached her smiling happily. Thanks to Hermione's blatant cheating, they had won. Before Harry could open his mouth to thank her, Ron cut in. "We won because you cheated. It looks good on your record, Granger. I bet people will think that you aren't bad enough." And without further explanation, he left. Hermione and Draco exchanged glares and turned to Harry angrily. "What's he talking about, Harry?" "We were winning," Hermione exclaimed. Draco remained silent and took out his wand instead. He pointed it at Harry while muttering under his breath something unintelligible. "No, Draco, you can't do that," Hermione insisted. A moment later, the tip of Draco's wand lit up and a red jet of fire shot out of it at Harry, hitting him square in the chest. Harry fell flat onto the ground, blood oozing out of the wound. Draco was shocked. His wand had gone flying and hit his boyfriend. It didn't look good for Harry. "Oh, shit," said Ron, running up to Harry. "What happened?" Ron tried to help Harry up, but he just couldn't move. His body hurt so badly. Ron grabbed Harry's hand and started pulling him up, but Harry was in such excruciating pain that he screamed in agony. Suddenly, the ground beneath Harry started shaking, and a large cloud of dust filled the field. Suddenly, there was a loud bang and everyone covered their faces instinctively, but a second later the dust cleared and a beautiful figure appeared in front of them. The figure was dressed in pure white robes, and her face was hidden behind a veil. "Who are you?" Draco demanded, pointing his wand at the woman. "I am Death Eaters," the woman replied calmly, "and I am here to kill you."